Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So here, this sloka speaks about Naimisharanya being the hub of this material universe. So every dham, holy dham, has its importance, has its consciousness, and also has its flavor. Every dham. Each dham has all got all these three kinds of, three important things. One is the importance, the mahatmya. The other one is the consciousness. And third one is the flavor. Now, Naimisharanya is such a place which is the hub. The hub means the center. So whatever activities are done in the center, then all the branches, whether it is of a tree, or a society, or a nation, or a home, any sphere, anything that you can think of, whatever is the center, if the center is given proper, has the proper kind of activities, gets nourished. So I remember when we went to Naimisharanya, a place in Navadvip Dham, on the Navamandal Parikrama. And there, in that place, Naimisharanya, all the Padayatris, we were all asked to do one thing, not to take prasad or to lie down and rest, or do anything else. We are all told to raise our hands, two hands high in the air, then take a deep breath, and then push out the air, chanting loudly the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Why? Because that is Naimisharanya. When Chaitanya Bhagavatam was recited there. So that place, whatever we do, activities, the entire world, planet gets the benefit. And what more better benefit can the whole world receive than the potency of the holy name, and especially in Kali Yuga. So in this way, we can see that Naimisharanya is the hub. Similarly, Prabhupada, he set up ISKCON centers as the hub. Now, hub is what? The center. So ISKCON temples are the center of a city or a region or an area. So all activities that happen there, then the entire city gets the benefit. And the flavor. See, Naimisharanya has one flavor, Vrindavan has one flavor, Puri Dham has a flavor. Similarly, all other kshetras, they have a flavor. Just like Puri Dham, the flavor is Mahaprasad. If you miss out the Mahaprasad, then you missed out everything. Then if you go to Vrindavan, Govardhan, if you miss out the Parikrama, you miss out that flavor. That's the flavor. Parikrama means Govardhan Parikrama. There's nothing more than that. There's no other Parikrama, in fact. So like that, each kshetra has its own flavor. Whether it's say Pandharpur, Udupi, Guruvayur, Anantapatmanabha temple, Tirumala temple. So sometimes, I desired that let me attend the Mangalarti in Mayapur temple. Then let me go and sit in Tirumala hills and chant Hare Krishna. So like that, and let me have Darshanarthi in ISKCON Vrindavan. So sometimes, we desire like that. Oh, in this dham, this flavor is so nice. In that dham, that flavor is so nice. Just like the flavors in ice cream. So like that, these dhams also emanate some flavor. And Naimisharanya flavor is that of sacrifice. So here all the sages, they are sat down to do sacrifices for the purpose of cultivating knowledge. In fact, sages means they need to do sacrifice. What is the hallmark of, what is the qualities, duties of a Brahmana, sages, sage, patana, patana, yajana, yajana. Then accepting and giving in charity. So here they are doing this yajana, yajana. They are doing sacrifice. And that sacrifice is for cultivating knowledge. Right? So now knowledge is what? You might have gone to some schools or education institutions. There you would have seen in bold letters, it is written, knowledge is power. Have you seen that? Knowledge is power. So one who possesses knowledge, he has got power. Now the question is, who can possess such knowledge? If you see right from Vedic times till the beginning of Kali Yuga, knowledge was restricted only to the Brahmanas. Why? Why not to the other Varnas? Because knowledge can lead to exploitation. One who has got knowledge, he can control. He can control power. He can control everybody. Because one who has knowledge, he can kind of intimidate or suppress the gullibles to the extent of using them as slaves. So knowledge was only restricted to the Brahmanas because Brahmanas are like paradukkira dukhi. They are always wanting to do good or benefit to others. That is the nature of Brahmana, of a devotee. So you see, if one who has got knowledge, then he tries to possess, he tries to control, he tries to exercise control of the others. So just like a car mechanic, your car breaks down and you can't figure out what's happened to the car. Then you are at the mercy of the car mechanic. And whatever he dictates, you have to simply say yes. You don't have an option. And then you see nowadays there's so much exploitation in the world of medicine, in the world of research and development. These are on the karmic platform, the karmic knowledge. I know one of our dear devotees, he used to say that a doctor will not pick up the scalpel to do operation surgery unless the money does not go into his bank account, a surgeon. So to this extent, they want to control. They think that they are the doer. So when knowledge, karmic knowledge comes in the hands of such persons with such mentality, then it becomes dangerous. Even you see in the political field, they want to control because they think they have got the right. And then you think of the scientists. Prabhupada used to say that the scientists, they want to control because they think they got all the knowledge. And to the extent, they can even control the politicians. So knowledge is prone to exploitation. And then you have these Gyanis, the yogis, the siddhis. They also control because they think they got siddhis. And today it's a very flourishing business. Those who control the siddhis, yogis, they think they have got better knowledge than this gullible common mass of people. So they control and they exploit. And you know how they exploit the women and the wealth and the families of all these gullible people. So controlling is such. And even I will tell you on the lighter side, There is exploitation even in the family, in the social life. Say I want to speak here, am I connected again? So if it falls in the hands of, pardon? Hello? Am I clear? Am I clear? Am I clear? Tribal, am I clear here?
The two devices are there.
Now, which one is clear?
This is clear.
This is clear, huh? Okay. Airtel always gives heart. Okay, what I just, where was, till what time what part you heard?
Some exploitation on family, something.
Acha. Sometimes on the lighter side, the speaker was speaking that how in a family, some elders, they try to exploit the younger kids just because they know something nice to do, like cookies. They know how to cook cookies or pizzas. Then they make the kid brothers and sisters work nicely so that, they can get the cookies or the pizzas. So like that, knowledge till the end of Dwapar Yuga was in the hands of Brahmanas. Then came the historic turn when Shringi, he opened the doors of exploitation, even by the Brahminical class. You see, he had the knowledge, but he used it for a different purpose. And that's when the advent came, when even the Brahmanas started exploiting the other classes of people because of they possessing this knowledge. So knowledge, cultivation of knowledge. Now here the cultivation of knowledge that's happening in Naimisharanya is transcendental. Why? Because it pertains to Srimad Bhagavatam. Now what is Srimad Bhagavatam? Srimad Bhagavatam is transcendental knowledge, the ripened fruit of all knowledge. Now if you take all the Vedas and you start churning them, when you churn all the Vedas, Upanishads, Puranas, you churn them, and what the cream comes, that cream is Srimad Bhagavatam. And this cream is usually very sweet. This fruit is very sweet. What's the difference? When you have a sweet fruit in your hand, then what does it indicate? That it is sweet, it is nourishment, there is nourishment, and it is understandable, and more so, it is easily digestible. You eat a raw mango, you eat a sweet mango, there's a difference. A sweet mango is easily digestible. And more so, when such a sweet fruit comes from the lips of Shukamuni, Shukadev Goswami, then it becomes even more relishable. So here is the second narration that is being told by Sonaka Rishi, headed by Sonaka. This is the second time that this repetition is being done of Srimad Bhagavatam. The first time being done by Shukadev Goswami. So this is like a story, because it starts like this, once upon a time in the forest of Naimisharanya. Sometimes in the school, in the school days, you would have heard stories starting with once upon a time there lived a king and a queen. Now those are like fairy tales, but here the story begins like that, but it has a message, a transcendental message. So this is the difference. When you hear a story and you hear a story with a transcendent message, then that's the difference. So in this sloka, you see that for the benefit of humanity, the Brahmanas assembled together to do a sacrifice. So this is what is needed to be done. Sacrifice. This is what needed to be done. Cultivation of transcendental knowledge. That knowledge which will impart to the whole of humanity. It's like the ultimate medicine. That medicine which will cure the cancer of this Kali Yuga. Kali Yuga becomes so cancerous now. And the only medicine is to listen to Srimad Bhagavatam. This is very important. Bhagavatam is the ultimate knowledge because it is personification of Krishna. From the first canto to the 12th canto, from the toe of the lotus feet of the Lord to the top of the head of the Lord is the Srimad Bhagavatam. And we need to progress slowly upwards, starting from the lotus feet. So Prabhupada says, Bhagavatam is like the sugar cane. You bite anywhere, it is sweet. But those who are serious students of Srimad Bhagavatam, they need to gradually elevate themselves from the first canto to the second and third and fourth and the 10th and 11th and 12th. Sometimes there are some persons who immediately want to jump to the 10th canto. Now, 10th canto is such a canto that everyone may not appreciate. So that's why you see Shukadev Goswami, when he was narrating to a mixed audience. There were impersonalists, there were jnanis, there were yogis, there were also some devotees. So he was very balanced. He had a very balanced approach on what to speak, especially the 10th canto. Now you understand one thing. There is a dharma. There is a dharma of the speaker and there is a dharma of the hearer, the audience. Now it is very important that the speaker, he follows a particular dharma. That is, he speaks to the audience. It's very important that he speaks to an audience who can understand things. Just like in our GBC college, we were given a communication course. In that communication course, we were given these 3 thumb rules. The thumb rule, 3 things. How to address an audience. When you communicate to an audience, which may be listeners of Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, or even to a press conference, or even in a seminar, or even in some other goshti, you have to take into consideration three things. Remember this, very important. First, you should ascertain what are the needs of the audience. You should know that. When you address an audience, you should know what are the needs of the audience. If you don't know what the audience needs from you and you go on speaking something else, then the audience attention goes elsewhere. Simply they'll get up or you keep yawning here and there. So this is the first principle you need to understand. What are the needs of the audience? Second is we need to find out what are the interests of the audience. We have to understand the interest. What have they come here for? What would they like to hear? What is something interesting for them so that they'll have some attention. They'll forget the whole world outside. And the audience, they're coming here because they left their all other important work and they come here to sit and hear Bhagavatam. So it is the speaker who needs to take into account this second factor also. What are the interests of the audience? What would they like to hear from me? The third is, what are the concerns of the audience? So you need to remember these 3 points. NIC, Nick. Needs of the audience, interests of the audience, and concerns of the audience. And Shukadev Goswami, he knew perfectly how to address it, address the audience, how to balance it, what to speak, what to reveal. He knew all that. That's why he did not go into the in-depths of the knowledge, of transcendental knowledge. He only addressed that because it was like a Mili-Juli Sarkar, like a Mishran audience. So you have to be careful when we address certain things in an audience. We may try to exhibit our extraordinary knowledge or intelligence by speaking some high funda things, subject matter. But if it does not go into, it does not touch the heart of the audience, or even it does not enter the understandable by the audience, some may take it to be saying, oh, I don't believe it. I don't think this is true. If someone in the audience speaks like that, when you speak of some high funda knowledge, and in the audience someone says, oh, I don't believe this, then it becomes kind of an offense on the part of the speaker, because he's trying to speak to an audience which is quite not mature. So it is very important that when we address an audience, that we need to see these 3 factors. These 3 factors are very important. And then if you are unable to understand these 3 factors, then you can grasp the attention of the audience. So we are taught to do these 3 kinds of things when we address an audience. So Shukadev Goswami, he was addressing to such an audience where he could not go to the in-depths of transcendental knowledge. But and then over and above that was a time factor. Sometimes we have an audience which are restricted by time. They come because they got time 1 hour. They can spend 1 hour, half an hour, but we can't go on dragging the class for 1.5 hours, 2 hours, like that. Some are known for doing that. They give long hours of class. And in Kali Yuga, it said, Prabhupada, you see how perfect he was. 40 minutes class, 45 the most. After that is okay, thank you very much. He'll end the class. Because the reception power that individuals have in Kali Yuga is restricted to that much time. So better we eat little, but eat nice. We grasp little, grasp nicely. It's not that we want to have a diluted kind of knowledge that we receive. We eat little, but we eat nice. We hear little, but hear nicely and practice it. So here is Shukadev Goswami, and he is addressing this audience. So sadhus, they foresee the future. So these sages in Naimisharanya, they are foreseeing the future. Now what the future is awaiting for all of us. So it is the nature of the sadhu to do good to others, to follow the will of the God. And their whole nature is to purify the soul. So this assembling of sages in Naimisharanya points out to another factor. What is that? Goshtanandi. There are two kinds of devotees. One are the Goshtanandis and other are the Bhajananandis. Now this assembling of devotees together and hearing Srimad Bhagavatam is like Goshtanandi, association, Sangha. This Sangha is very important. Sangha is the strength. If there is no Sangha, then whatever strength one may claim to have, it will also dwindle. No one can live without Sangha. Sangha is very powerful instrument. Why? Because it will purify the soul. It will purify the soul. And thereby, the benefit will be for the entire community. So this Goshtanandi is very important. Prabhupada used to say, never was there a time when I was not thinking about to be Krishna conscious or being in the association of devotees. So this is very important. We should never leave the association of devotees. How much do you think you can be a Bhajananandi? Sitting alone, chanting 16 rounds? How much it will be possible? How long? You need to get some recharge done. And that is done only by Goshtanandis. If you see all of our previous acharyas, they are not Bhajananandis sitting alone, except for one or two acharyas like Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj and things like that. But they were also into Goshtanandis. They are going to go Goshtis and being an association of devotees and giving discourses. So Bhajananandi in Kali Yuga is a bit difficult. Unless otherwise you are being so much bothered about the karmis and other classes of people, that some acharyas like Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj used to get so much troubled by the common man that they always come to and say, Babaji, you please bless me, Babaji, you give me this, Babaji, you give me that. So he was always being troubled and his bhajana was not happening. So he used to sometimes go and sit in the place where they pass stool, in the toilet area. And there used to sit and chant Hare Krishna. Of course, he's very elevated soul. He's a Mukta Jiva. So he's sitting in your stool area doesn't mean that he gets contaminated, but rather the place becomes purified. So he used to go and sit in those places to do his bhajana. But whenever there used to be a goshti, there used to be a discourse, a debate on any topic, he used to be present there. And then used to take do very good participation and used to give so much nice discourse, and even in a debate, he used to defeat everybody. So we see that is Goshtanandis. Just to take the example of Lord Krishna. Lord Krishna is never alone. Have you ever seen a picture of Lord Krishna alone? Either he is with the deer or the peacock or gopas or gopis. Somebody, Yashoda, Nanda Maharaj. He is always there with everybody. So this is known as Goshti. So Goshti is very much needed. Goshti is the strength. No point of time one devotee should think that if I go away from this Goshti, then I'll be much happier person. That's the biggest illusion. That's a welcome, red carpet welcome by Maya Devi. Please come, get out of that association, I'll give you better association. So that's the beginning of the fall down. So we should always try to be in Goshtanandis, so that we are safe. Prabhupada used to say that whatever may happen, to whatever extent you may be troubled or be in bad shape and things like that, but never ever leave ISKCON. So many devotees have tried. They think that if they go out, oh, I understand everything now. I understood how spiritual life is to be done. I understand now how to conduct myself. I know how to do preaching. I know how to set up another society. They try to do that individually, but after some time, they eat the humble pie. They come crawling on their knees and they try to show off. Again, they want to show off. Oh, I tried to do this, I did that. But I think now the society has come to such a level, I can hand it over to you. Are Baba, you handle it now, no? What's your problem? But problem is with him. He's not able to do it anymore. Why? Because the spiritual connection is gone. So somewhere there we should understand when we stay in this society, there is the spiritual connection. Prabhupada is to tell us, I'm not managing the society. It's Gonitai, they are managing society. They are running, they're doing the whole preaching business. So this way, we should understand that we need to be Goshtanandis. And Bhajananandi is only to the extent that you want to do your solitary reading. Reading also, again, you may have your own sadhana reading. But reading Bhagavatam alone and reading Bhagavatam in the association of devotees, you get different realizations. You'll get more realizations. So there can be some personal reading, but that reading has to also be referred to with other devotees. Then the churning happens. Just like you see the churning. Krishna spoke to Lord Brahma 4 slokas, Chatur Shloki. 4 slokas of Bhagavad Gita, 4 slokas of Bhagavatam, and the entire scripture is over. Then Brahma gave to Narada, some more slokas were added. Then Narada gave to Vyasa, some more were added. Just like there was one Veda, then it became 4. Then it became Brahma Sutras, then the Puranas, then Upanishads. So like that, now there are 18 volumes, 12 cantos of Srimad Bhagavatam. So much churning has happened, just see. So this is Srimad Bhagavatam. The more you do manthan, the more we get the nectar. And now Prabhupada, even after he wrote all those purports, still the devotees, they're writing their own realizations of Bhagavatam. So you see, this is something that we should see that there's something that we should see, that how we can be always in a goshti. We always be in a sangha with devotees. So this is another thing that we need to understand from this shloka, that all the sages assembled. So when we have a festival, we assemble to see how we can do this festival. Then we have when we have a class, then we assemble. Just like morning classes, we have the Srimad Bhagavatam class every day, weekday. Even for the Kannada, we started. Now nearly 50 families are joining every day morning 8 o'clock class. So this is all Goshti. So Prabhupada made such a program, not just for a program to happen in an ISKCON center. Now even with this the time that is happening now, we are going through a time where we can't come closer than this because we have some apprehensions. We still have this technology with us where we can come together and be together and still get the same benefits. So material nature may cause an hindrance to our spiritual progress. But a Vaishnava is such an intelligent person that he utilizes the energy in the service of the Lord. And that intelligence with which he does that, it comes from Krishna. So this is how it works. If you think this is Maya, okay, then it's Maya. But if you think it is Maya, but still I need to know how they can be engaged in Krishna's service, then that is intelligence. That is Buddhi Yoga. So this Buddhi Yoga we need to cultivate. Krishna will give to each one of us this Buddhi Yoga. To every individual. Dadami Buddhi Yogam Tam Yena. So he gives intelligence. But that intelligence is based on how much bhajana we do. Tesam satata yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam. So that bhajana is very needed. When we do that bhajana, then all that is material can become spiritual, can be dovetailed. So these are the things that Prabhupada taught us. He said, don't reject something, simply something saying this is Maya, naiti, 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 not this, not this, not this. You need to have that intelligence. So Prabhupada says, Krishna consciousness means don't be a slave. Don't be a slave. Be a slave, but with intelligence. Not just a slave without intelligence. So it is the responsibility of the leader that how we can engage everybody in Krishna consciousness. So this is what is involved.
That three things are involved in this: the place, the sacrifice, and the direction. There's another thing you need to remember. Three things are involved. Place, the best time of the day, the people are involved in sacrifice, and direction. So just like deity worship, preaching, managing temples, then you use your intelligence to say that how we can give proper directions. Sometimes what happens, leaders tend to default by saying that by my intelligence, things have to go on. But unless the leader is not perfect, then sometimes that could be a mislead. Sometimes the leaders may say that Lord Jagannath desired, Lord Krishna desired, so things happen this way, so things happen that way. But we have a parameter. We have a parameter to check. We have a direction to see what way it has to be done. What are the parameters? Guru, Sadhu, Shastra. These three things we have to see. We can't do anything whimsically and then put it on Lord Jagannath desire. He desired this way. He desired this way. It's not possible. Then it may get into complications. So this Goshtanandi means that we consult each other, and not give a tag saying that Lord Jagannath desired in this way. Then what happens, we take the reactions. Reactions comes very fast. In spiritual life, you please see that don't do any activities individually on your own, thinking I know everything, I don't need anybody's help. Then what happens? The reactions come very fast. They come pretty fast. And then you alone will be responsible for that, nobody else. So rather, it is better to go as a Goshtanandi, that you take opinion from all sources, then come to a right conclusion, a unanimous conclusion, that this is how things to be done. Otherwise, there is reactions. And spiritual life reactions are quite pretty dangerous. So here we see that the sages of Naimisharanya, they are assembled for another reason. What? To influence the future. This influencing the future is very important. That future, if you know how it is going to be, then you need to be a good leader. How to influence things in the future, then you need to be a leader who can forecast, who can see things. Now we are being put under certain kind of restrictions. Now a leader has to think that even though there are restrictions, how can we get engaged properly in how I can engage the devotees in a particular movement, society, to be engaged properly. Not that we just raise our hands out of despair and say, oh, Corona times, what can we do? I can't come to temple. Yesterday I was sitting with Rakal Krishna Prabhu, and he was mentioning that devotees say, oh, it is Corona times, how we can come to temple and do service? But at the same time, they are also missing at home. So neither they are in the temple, nor they are at the home. So where are they? The devotees. So sometimes we take this plea, that because of this reason, because of that reason, I want to stay away from devotional service. But then where are you engaged? You're not engaged either at the place where you need to be. I remember a long time ago, I had said this before, that when Jananya's Prabhu had come, and there was one other Prabhupada disciple, Atma Tattva Prabhu. Then there was a question answer session about deity worship. So the questions were being asked, and Jananya's Prabhu, out of humility, he was answering the questions. Then suddenly Atma Tattva Prabhu burst out. I'm saying that most of the questions that have been asked is how and when I cannot enter the altar. You see, the questions were pertaining to this subject, that when I cannot enter the altar, deity altar. Now, is that the only aspect of devotional life? There are the don'ts. No, that's not an issue. But there are also the do's. When I don't want to, when I am not able to enter the altar is one aspect. But the other aspect is, when can I enter the altar? So you see the observation. One sadhu is very innocently, humbly answering questions. But then the other sadhu, he is noticing the consciousness level of the seeker, of the one who is asking questions. That the entire group is asking questions when they cannot enter the altar. And you cannot enter the altar, that means altar means kitchen. So it extends to the kitchen. But is that the only aspect of devotional life? There are two aspects of devotional life, Rupa Goswami says. One is don't forget Krishna. The other one is always remember Krishna. Now when you say don't remember Krishna, that means there are times when you will be forgetting Krishna. So you have to be on the guard. Then the other aspect, always remember Krishna. What does it mean? It means that we seek ways, new ways to see how we can remember Krishna, how we can do more devotional service. So these two aspects are important, the two sides of the coin. So these things we have to very subtly. Bhagavatam is a post-graduate study. And in a post-graduate study, we just can't talk riff-raff or speak of diluted things. We have to be somewhat little concentrated. Our thought process should be little more concentrated than what we learn in Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita is trying to establish the principles of dharma, trying to establish which is the topmost yoga system. Now Bhagavatam begins with this first shloka, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. That's it. That means the heading is Krishna. The main topic is Krishna. Just like you write an essay, the first line and the paragraph should indicate what is the essay all about. If you don't mention specifically and you're not to the point, then the reader will not read the whole essay. Your first paragraph of the essay should indicate what is the subject matter of the essay. Then somebody will be inclined to read the whole essay. So like that, Bhagavatam starts with Krishna. And the subject matter is Krishna. And Krishna is all auspiciousness. When you start any work, we do something auspicious first. Isn't it so? So like that, Krishna is all auspicious. He is, it indicates Bhagavatam is all about Krishna. So that's how we need to be more focused. Now we cannot think of all other kinds of dharma and all that. We have to just put them out of the door. So there's one other point I want to point out in this, that they made Sutta Goswami. Now who can sit on the Vyasasana and speak? How do you select? Now when Parikshit Maharaj was cursed and he went, immediately he gave up the kingdom. Then he went to the sadhus and they all came to a unanimous conclusion that you should hear Srimad Bhagavatam because you have got only 7 days left. So it was agreed that he should hear Srimad Bhagavatam. Then the next thing came, from whom can he hear? And then when the discussion came up, there was one unanimous decision that he has to hear from Shukamuni, Shukadev Goswami. So here comes the question of who can be sitting on the Vyasasana and giving the Bhagavatam class, the Srimad Bhagavatam class. So this is what is also being discussed here in this shloka. So there are two things that are brought up. One is the character of the speaker. What is his spiritual standing? And the second one is imparting knowledge. Sometimes you see that a person, he is very interested in imparting knowledge to others, but somehow his behavior is not good. And then there are others whose behavior is very good, but they don't give knowledge to others. So in the discussion that happened in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Lord Chaitanya said that the two good things about Srila Haridas Thakur, that he possessed both of these qualities. That is very pleasing nature he has, his character is very pleasing. And second, he is very eager to impart knowledge to others. Okay. Now, when you speak of the character of the person, it is mentioned in the 6th sloka now. This is the 4th and 6th sloka. It mentioned that a Goswami who is free from the 4 vices, 4 defects, or 4 kinds of sinful activities. And that's the 4 principles what we try to follow. No meat eating, no gambling, no intoxication, no illicit relations. So one who follows these 4 principles strictly, they can sit on the Vyasasana and give a Bhagavatam discourse. Now, you may ask, now who is qualified? How many of us are actually in principle, in practicality, following the 4 regular principles? It may be asked. So then the answer is that we are trying to follow in the footsteps of Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada said that you need to share your realizations of Bhagavatam to everybody. So in this respect, in the purport you see there is mention about the swans and the crows, right? So now when you speak of about the character of the person, that he follows anusara. That means he follows in the footsteps of the acharyas. Anusara and anukara. Anusara means following the footsteps. Anukara means imitating, stamping on the footsteps. Now these are 2 different things. You have to be following the footsteps of the acharyas and not stamping on the footsteps of acharyas. So in our sampradaya, in ISKCON, Prabhupada said that even though you may not be perfect, you may not be perfectly following the 4 regular principles, you may not be a Pakka devotee, but you can share your realizations of Bhagavatam with everybody. So in doing so, whatever the acharyas are speaking, if we are able to present it as it is, then you are doing anusara and not imitation. Imitation is bad. So, and then second is imparting knowledge. Now you impart knowledge to the extent there is the proper understanding you have understood, you have made. Your understanding, to that extent, you can explain and share your realizations, and not beyond that. And I remember that little girl Saraswati in Prabhupada's time. She knew that Krishna is the Supreme Personality Godhead. She knew that much. And even she used to go out for book distribution. So imparting knowledge is to the extent that we have understood. And that we can share with others. So these 2 things are very important to be a Bhagavatam speaker. That one is the character, the behavior of the speaker, how he needs to be free from these 4 vices. And second is imparting the knowledge, giving the knowledge. Giving the knowledge to the extent that one has understood. Sharing realizations. And thereby, in the process, one may get more purified and thereby come to the stage of perfection. So this is how we need to understand about the Bhagavatam speaker, that who can give a Bhagavatam class. So you see Shukadeva Goswami, he's sitting there on the Vyasasana, and then you have the Tata and Muttata, all those great grand sages, great grandfathers, even his own father are sitting, always sitting and hearing. If you see the cover page, inside cover page of Srimad Bhagavatam Canto 1, you see a 16-year-old boy sitting there on the Vyasasana, completely and have all these great sages sitting in front of him. So what is age? Age is not a factor. What is the main factor is these two things: the impeccable character of the speaker and the knowledge that he has been he has inherited. So this is how I understand. These are some of the few points of the shloka, and I think I try to cover quite many of the points that Prabhupada nicely has put it across. Okay, I stop here. Hare Krishna. Any questions? Is that okay, Karunya?
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay, so there are no questions.
No.
All are doubt cleared.
Yeah.
Okay, Jai. So we close?
Let's go.
Yantra Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Nitai Gaur Sitanath Pramanande. Hari Hari Bol.